Artemus Toast here, and we're doing another all kinds of awesome trademark album review. You know, the one we're doing today, I went off on many different tangents with the last all kinds of awesome album reviews trademark. Um, the last few were concentrating on you know the writer, producer, engineer, composer, played every instrument, on the album. I was, doing reviews, not so much a particular body of work, but their entire catalog, and their approach to it, being, bringing their vision to life, talked about Prince, talked about Jeff Lynne of ELO. There's a lot of, also mentioned, Dave Grohl in the first Foo Fighters album, just bringing their single vision to life. One of my past, my recent interview with a musician, Kalium from, his current project, Broke Down Satellite. That's along those lines as well. From vision to fruition, they run it the whole 100 yards. But that was besides the point. What I'm concentrating on now, with the album I'm doing today, Supertramp's Breakfast in America, is bands that are well, first off, severely underrated. In my opinion, Supertramp's one of those bands that everybody's heard their songs, but if you asked them to name it, or even if they named it, you asked them who sang it, not a lot of people know. At least in my experience, they're once again severely underrated band. But the thing about I have many more of their albums, and in the future I'll probably talk about them as well. But I picked this one in particular because to be perfectly honest, in my opinion, it's their most all kinds of awesome album trademark. And that goes for songs from both Rick Davies and Roger Hodgson. Talking about some of the tracks, track one is a Rick Davies track, Gone Hollywood. It's it's sung by both of them. Great track, one of those tracks that kind of tells a story. The track two, side one, track two is, the Logical song, one of my favorite tracks by the band Supertramp. That was, written and sang by Roger Hodgson. A really cool song, lyrically, really cool, and talking about, some of their other songs, Take the Long Way Home, another great song on this album that was penned by Roger Hodgson and also sang by him. Goodbye Strangers is a man, great track. Number of hits, really, number of radio friendly hits on this one. And even pretty recently, about maybe 10 years or so ago, and forgive me, I can't remember the song. There was a group called Gym Class Heroes, and the hook of the song was taken from a Supertramp song, and it was sang by the singer from Fall Out Boy. So that was, I guess in modern pop culture, a kind of reintroduction of a song by, once again, in my opinion, a very underrated band. You know, as I talk about with all these albums, you know, being the world's greatest guitarist, a rodeo for over 100 bands, you know, having the magical ears of Honey, you know, just tiptoeing my way through the industry, 4+ decades, you know. I found my way onto a lot of album covers. It's been a while since I visited one that I was on the cover of. Led Zeppelin 4, I was on the cover. Cream Disraeli Gears, I was on the cover. Even going into the '90s, Radiohead's Paranoid Android, OK Computer, I was on the cover of that one. I'm actually not on the front cover. That's kind of a waitress looking character. It's supposed to be looking out a window. It looks like Manhattan, except made out of coffee cups and dishes and things like that. Which is kind of funny about the Manhattan thing. The reason why I'm actually on the back cover. Let me put my finger on it. You see you just see the side of my face. I was actually I think it was the spring of 1979. I happened to be in Manhattan. I was fresh off a tour, being a roadie, and I was just taking it easy, in Manhattan, and I was actually on the Upper West Side, a place called City Diner. I think it was West 90th and Broadway, and I happened to be sitting here. A lot of music people hung out there. Rick Davies and Roger Hodgson and a bunch of their crew, they came in, and they were taking pictures. Something about the theme of the cover, in the title of the record, Breakfast Breakfast in America. And ironically, I just happened to be having breakfast in America, and you could barely see the side of my face, but I made my way onto another album cover. One of the many great perks of having magical ears of Honey and level 14, superior guitar shredding skills. But once again, highly recommend that you listen to this album, Supertramp, Breakfast in America. It's certified, in my opinion, all kinds of awesome, trademark. Side 1, track 1 to, the 10th track, Child of Vision. Listen to it in order. If you don't get the album version, you get a cassette, you get an 8-track, you get a CD, one of those mini discs, an MP3, a WAV file, whatever it is, just listen to it, front to back, the way the artist intended. Once again, this was an all kinds of awesome album review. Artemus Toast out. I want to jump in here and mention something else that, I didn't really, I wasn't paying enough respect to this album review of Supertramp's Breakfast in America. Obviously there's a lot of great songs. There's reasons that I feel it's underrated, and I didn't touch on those points. You really wouldn't classify them as a prog rock band, but the earlier stuff was, they were, but they weren't. They didn't make really long songs. That I heard that that there was a theme to their album, but it wasn't like a long drawn out concept albums. They're very radio friendly songs. but not to take away from the composition, because that's why I feel it's All Kinds of Awesome album is the composition's great, from both writers. I guess a thing that I could describe in my opinion is there's a whimsical quality to a lot of the structure of some of their songs, and some of the rhyming patterns, and some of the lyrics, they're simply themed, but they're phonetically complex. I guess their structure, in my opinion, is they're simple, complex songs. I guess is are complex, simple songs. But whatever label you want to put on it. Once again, Supertramp, Breakfast in America, Supertramp. The group is All Kinds of Awesome. But for the album review, Supertramp, Breakfast in America, All Kinds of Awesome. Once again, big props to Supertramp. Once again, highly underrated band. Check them out. Artemus Toast out again.